Hey guys, Keaton here. I'm coming to y'all with a little bit of a informal video today. I am about to cannibalize my old Royal Blood Mike Kerr pedal board. I just got the Neural DSP Quad Cortex. I'm loving it. It is fantastic. You'll be seeing a lot more covers and details on that later. Today I figured before I take this bad boy apart, I would show you guys what all goes into it. I'm kind of using the Boss ES8 as the brains of this rig. I've had it for the last 3 or 4 years and it has served me incredibly well. The routing options, just everything you can do with it is awesome and very conducive to this style of playing. So I'm going to take you through the pedal board, what everything does, what every pedal does, just a brief overview. I'll do more in-depth stuff later. Pop open the hood, let you see what's all inside, all the wiring and how it all works together. And then I'm gonna pick some of my favorite patches, break them down at a base level. I'll do more in-depth patch settings and those kind of videos later for those of you that have a Boss style switcher and are interested in doing this kind of thing. And then I will do some little demos, some riffs to test the pedals out and the switcher out. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. First up, we are going to start with the bass. This is just a Squier Vintage modified short scale Jaguar. I've got a couple of them. I got them for very cheap. Sadly, they're not very cheap anymore, even on Reverb. Their price has actually gone up. But if you snag one of these, this is going to be great for all your Royal Blood style tones. That, along with the Gretsch G2220, I love that thing too. And it's been used by Royal Blood on some other records. So I got that. My amps behind me are two Bassbreaker 15 watt tube amps. I love them. And then over here off to the side, you can't see it, I've got a Fender Rumble 40 for my clean bass tones. So that does it for guitars and amps. Let's jump right into the pedals. So from right to left, kind of following the signal path, we've got the Shure GLX-D receiver. It also acts as my tuner, which I really appreciate. Great setup. I love playing wirelessly, so that's a big plus. And coming out of that, we go into the Freak Out right here, just to do some ambient stuff or to hold a note, do any kind of fun harmonic stuff. And then coming out, we go straight into the EHX Pitchfork, which I use to do all of my short pitch bends and songs like 10 Ton Skeleton or Boilermaker, stuff like that. From there, we come into the patch bay. I'll open this pedal board up here in a minute so you can see what's under the hood. But I've got I believe it's a Rock board by Warwick, a little block that goes in there that you can plug your TS cables in basically to use as a patch bay. And so my input comes into the ES8 and it is split throughout the switcher to go to different amps and stuff. I'll talk a little bit about that later. It's a kind of a funny setup. It's pretty unorthodox. So then coming into the right before it comes into the switcher, it hits these 3 pitch shifters. So we have the 2 whammy ricochets and then we have the Boss PS6. They're both set for different kind of dive bomb times, going up or down to match a lot of the Royal Blood songs. And then that goes directly into the input on the switcher. So then everything is kind of sent to any of the other variety of pedals through the actual switcher interface. So all of this stuff is pre everything else. So I'm going to go through. I've got the ES8 just kind of in stomp mode, so I can go kind of preset by preset and show you exactly what each pedal sounds like. And I'm actually using the last 3 loops of the switcher as my kind of amp toggles. And so that's what's kind of unorthodox about the system, because I'm actually not using either of the 2 built-in outputs, simply because you get a lot more control over your amp switching if you use these outs, if you just use the send and don't have it return. So I'll get into a little bit more of that later, but first I will demo and show you which number is mapped to which one. So coming into loop 1, we've got the POG. So this is what I use for my standard octave up kind of Royal Blood guitar tone, and sometimes I'll do a little bit more like dry and blend stuff with songs like Typhoons, where I want a really thick octave with a fuzz. And then coming into number 2, we have the Plasma pedal. I love this thing. It is without a doubt the most expensive single function pedal I think I've ever bought, but it sounds amazing, and you can get pretty much most Royal Blood tones, especially off the new Typhoons record. Loop number 3, I've got 2 ZVEX Mastertrons. I love the first one so much I grabbed another one at a Guitar Center. And I kind of have them set for different tones. This one on number 3 is a little darker. I've got it set for more of a loose change kind of tone. And then 4, I'm actually splitting, or I switch between the Mastertron and the Cockfight, just depending on what kind of songs I'm playing. I ran out of loops, and so I kind of just choose between the fuzzes, so I'll demo both of those here in a minute. And then loop 5 is my wet effects, and so it's not uncommon to see me switch out some of these pedals for something else. I've got a cheap little $40 Fender Chorus that normally lives here, along with the Boss Dynamic Wah and the Phase 90. And so kind of same deal with the Cockfight and Mastertron. I just ran out of loops, and I just kind of switched those as needed for certain songs. So I will get into those real quick. So and then 6, 7, and 8 are my 3 amps. So 6 and 7 is my first and second bass breaker, and then 8 is the Fender Rumble 40. So let's start with the just the Pog on a bass breaker. So I will kick on my first bass breaker, and so you'll hear pretty thin. I'll add in the other amps so you can hear a little better. And then bring in that clean one. Cool. All right, let's just stick on one amp and demo some of the tones. So I'm in D standard, and I've got this plasma coil going. All right, moving on, let's check out the first Mastertron. Let's check out the other Mastertron. Alright, and then I'll switch this over to the Cockfight so you can kind of hear what I've got that set up. There's that. And then I will combine maybe some of the plasma with this phaser. And then switches to the auto wash, so you can hear that as well. Let's see. Better before the octave actually, so let's see if that works, or after the octave before the fuzz. All right, so that is them kind of by themselves, and this is just kind of the standard layout to demo each pedal, but I will jump right into the demos I'm going to probably do one song off of every Royal Blood album so far, and then just kind of walk you through some of the routing and how that works in the ES8. this song, I'm mostly using the Mastertron and the plasma pedal here, as well as the Pog, to kind of get most of those sounds. So on this first patch, I'm gonna go ahead, sorry for bumping the camera there, getting used to this thing. We'll go in here and we will go to edit, and then we're gonna go to patch. We're just gonna enter. Loop structure is where a lot of the magic happens, so we'll go in here. And so the way I've got this structured, I've got the input, we're going straight into the Pog, that's the first thing in the chain, helps prevent unwanted noise, and then going straight into the plasma coil, and then splitting the signal between 6 and 7, which are my 2 bass breaker amps. So this sound is just the Pog, the plasma pedal, and then both my bass breaker amps active, and gives a really nice, crispy fuzz tone. Really like that. And I just leave the other pedals unaffected and after the bulk of what's happening there. So when it kicks in big, we'll go on to this next one. Let's see, we gotta back out. We'll go to this next one, and we're gonna go in to look at it, take a look at what's going on. We'll go back into loop structure, which is just arrangement of pedals. So for whatever reason, the way that I have found to get this to work is that the clean bass signal has to be in its own loop before anything else, or else it will take on whatever the other effects are. So I don't want my octave up going to my clean bass amp because I want it to be low and deep. So that's just how you have to do that. How that works is I'll just move number 8 all the way back to the front, and then by hitting this enter button and then moving it down there, that's where it'll stay. And then again, I've got my same two amps on, and the Pog and the plasma pedal, and that's gonna really just essentially just bringing in the clean bass amp to give it some more oomph. So if you heard what I did there at the last part, this is really where the ES8 shines. There's a ton of assignable functions that you can do after the fact. So once we've got our loop structure set up and we have our pedals active, this is where we come in this loop menu just to tell it what we want on when. So right now, of course, we've got the Pog, we've got the plasma pedal, and we've got just both of our guitar amps right now. But a minute ago, we had that number 8 bass amp on, so I'll show you how we did that. So I go back here, and instead of patch, when I come into the main menu, I'm gonna go over to control/expression, come in here, and we're gonna scroll all the way to the right. We're gonna pass all the numbers, all the controls and expressions. And when we get to assign 1, here's where we can do a bunch of cool stuff. So we come in here, and then we're gonna want the switch set to on. That just allows the foot switch to do what you want it to do. And then we're gonna tell it a source number. And so I've set the source as number 6. So what this means is really cool, is after I've engaged the preset on number 6, I can come over here and I can tell this same button to do something else. And so you can see we've got it set to, there's 2 modes. We've got toggle and we've got momentary. So I'm gonna set mine to toggle because I want it to just stay on when I hit it. I'm gonna come over here, ignore that, it should always be on loop. And then our target is loop 8. So what that's telling it to do is when I hit loop 6, we're gonna affect loop 8. So we come over here, and then this minimum and maximum value just determine whether it's on or off. It's kind of finicky, and it can be a little bit of a pain to try and get what you're trying to do, especially with some of the larger, complicated assign functions when you're layering them. But for our purposes right now, we are just going to use the on and off right there. So we back out, and what this means is when we've got everything on, let me adjust the camera here, I'm gonna kick it back on. So this is really helpful, and this is the patch I use for the chorus, because I can, just by stepping on the preset once, it engages everything, which should have the bass and the other 2 amps on. But I can step on it again and just cut out that bass amp. So very similar to what Mike is doing, when he was using the Boss TU2 and the LS2 to kind of mute his signal. This is essentially what that's doing. It is just killing that bass loop. So we're only getting the 2 guitar amps, and so that's how we play the chorus. I will just kick that on, off. So pretty cool, and that is really what got me started on a lot of the more complicated ones once I figured out how to do that. I only have, I think, 2 more other patches on this preset bank. I have got basically what I just used for the verse tone, just kind of chugging. Very cool. And then this last one is what's used after the little bridge at the end, where the solo guitar tone is kind of in there before everything else kicks in and goes into that incredible outro. So I believe I'm just using the darker Mastertron for this. I just realized I think the cockfight was on that other one, but it should just kind of sound like this. And this is just one of the bass breakers, and then bringing in the clean bass amp before it goes back into the chorus preset. So whatever, I messed it up. So you get the idea, though. That's basically how Out of the Black works and how some of the patch setup works. I'm going to go on to our next demo now. Okay, lights out. Far and away, this was the most difficult one to get right because of how many things are happening in the solo. When you listen to the recording, there are a lot of layered kind of guitar and bass tones in there. And so trying to get all those correct first and then figure out the correct switching to just step on one button at a time was very complicated. But I'll start with just the intro riff setting. It's on this one, and it just kind of starts off with a fuzzy, kind of dirty bass tone. And then we kick in the other guitar amp and the clean bass amp to kind of kick it off. Great. And so how we're doing that essentially it works the same way as and Out of the Black. We're just doing less octave. If I go over here into patch and show you kind of the layout, again, we've got the clean bass amp. Before anything else, just using the plasma pedal going into both guitar amps. And so basically number 6 is the only thing that's on to begin with, and then when we step on that number 8 again, we're bringing in 7 and 8, which are the other bass breaker and the Fender Rumble. So that's basically that patch, pretty simple. Number 5 is going to be kind of the chorus one, so let me kick that one on. Sorry. So that one shouldn't be too much different from Out of the Black either. It's just some octave up fuzz and some clean bass tones. So if I go into here to edit, we look at the loop structure. Yeah, it looks like we've got the bass is set up, and then this one we've got the octave up from the Pog, but we've added 2 separate fuzzes. So we've got the plasma going into the first one, and we've got the Mastertron going into that second one. So just to vary up the tone a little bit, make the amps sound a little bit more unique, different from each other. So we go out of this one, and then kind of for this pre-solo bridge part, I think I got rid of a lot of the upper octave to kind of give it a more gritty feel and some more differentiation from the chorus. But so if we go back to the chorus riff. So that one, if we take a look, should just be, yeah, so we've got the octave up still on, the plasma going in that first bass breaker, and we've got the Mastertron going into the other one, but without an octave, so you're getting a little bit more of that grit without the octave up. And then the real bear is this one. So number 6 is the solo patch, and it is very complicated. So when you initially kick it on, we've got the clean bass amp, we've got the Pog, we've got the auto wah, we've got, I believe, maybe even 2 fuzzes going on at the same time. It may just be the plasma, but there's a bunch of assign functions set up to help this do the switching, but let me demo it again for you. So that's just the guitar tone, but when it kicks on, it's... All right, so let's break that down, what's going on here. Let's open up the patch. We'll go into loop structure. So we've got bass at the beginning, of course. We've got the Pog, we've got the auto wah engaged, and then we've got the plasma pedal, and then the Mastertron, and then our 2 bass breaker amps. So what's happening here is that when we start this one off, this is engaged, so is the Pog, so is the dynamic wah, and then I believe the plasma is as well as these 2 bass breakers. And so what's happening when I step on it again is we're cutting the bass, we are cutting the wah, and we are cutting the plasma to just give us the octave, the Mastertron, and the 2 bass breakers to create that differentiation, because there's no auto wah on that part of the riff, at least the way I'm doing it. And so if we go into our assignable functions, let's see, we're gonna, I think I'm using like 4 or 5. So this first one, let's see what it's doing. This one is it's targeting the wah. Let's see. Yeah, so this one is killing the plasma. Assign 2 is engaging the Mastertron, telling it to turn it on. And then we have this one killing the auto wah, so that's not doing anything. And then we have this one cutting the bass amp. And so since they're all set to toggle, basically what it's doing is it's just switching between on and off for whatever I tell them to do. And that's kind of how it's achieved. And so that is the those are the patches on Lights Out. It's pretty difficult one to set up, but I think the results pay off. I'll demo the ricochet for y'all as well. Hey guys, for troubles coming, I've switched over to a Squier Mini Precision P-Bass. It is very short to scale, about as long as a Strat. I really like this thing. What's special about this one, I've rigged it up with some very thin strings. I actually took I think a 6-string bass set and just threw out the 2 lowest ones and slapped the rest on here. What that allows me to do is play a lot of these F-sharp standard riffs without breaking my fingers, because I don't want to lose my fingers. So I'm going to demo the Troubles Coming riff, and then we'll jump straight into the patch settings. Last but not least, we've got Troubles Coming. This is on the simpler side of things. I'm just doing it to demo some more tones from the new album. This one is relying heavily on the cockfight and the plasma pedal to do a lot of the fuzz work. So our first patch is going to be really simple. It's just going to essentially be the bass not engaged at the beginning, and then have the cockfight sent to both of the amps. And so how that all sounded at the beginning. So that is how it sounds to start off with. And I will actually not switch that on. I won't do any assignable function things until later. And so I'll go off to the next one. This one is just the little pre-chorus build-up. I basically just take out the other amp, let it sound pretty quiet and dismal until everything else kicks in. So as you can see there, I just used the original patch and then switched on the bass after I kicked that over. So pretty similar to concepts we covered in the last two riffs. The only things new I will kick in is the little bridge riff. So if we go to this other one, I've basically set up, I think I'm running the, yeah, I've got 2 separate loops, so we've got one doing the plasma and one doing the cockfight, just to make it sound a little bit bigger, a little bit different, kind of like we did in the Lights Out chorus. So bridge riff. And then when we step on it again, I've got the assign set up to just kick in that bass to make it sound big. So. troubles coming. So that is pretty much the capabilities of this rig. I'm pretty happy with it. It has served me well for quite a while. So hopefully there will be more videos to come, just really breaking down some of the functions that the ES8 can do, especially if y'all are interested. Just leave something in the comments if you want to know more about how some of the switching and routing works. I would love to make some more content on that, because I'm all for people making big riffs with basses, and I want to see some more of that. So let me know if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to respond to you in the comments, and I will see y'all next time. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in and taking a look at this pedal board. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys about what you're interested in. If you have any questions about it, I'd always love to help and give some advice. So until next time, I'll see you later.